Well, I like making food that tastes good, and I don't even mind making food that tastes bad. But if I had to choose, I think I'd pick the former. So if you want to know how to make it a little bit better, but maybe not quite as good as it maybe could be, I think that you should listen to what I'm talking about. And if you learn a little something from this, well, I hope it served a purpose, and hey, that's what we're here for. Good, better. Nailed it! Woo!
Hello, and welcome to the Cook Better podcast. My name is Corey, and I am glad to be back. It's been a while. It's been a few weeks, and that's not good, but I don't have any backlog of episodes yet, which is what it is. And so I'm sorry that it's been a minute, but we're back now. We're going to get into it. I have had a busy summer, as everybody typically does. Even if you're not doing a lot, it just seems to go by quick, and they're just, I don't know. We find things to keep ourselves busy. My corn is growing. Update on the corn. It's looking beautiful. I don't know. I mean, the weeds are kept at bay for the most part, and it's going so far. I haven't had too much issues with insects. I'm looking forward to that. I've got ears forming. It's now, the bulk of it is way taller than I am, which is fantastic. I've got the second section that I planted that's a little bit behind that, but I think 3 weeks behind that. And that's, I'd say, about waist high at the moment. So that's looking good. The veggies are looking good, the few that I planted, so I'm excited about that. But it is hot. And I think pretty much anywhere in the country or anywhere you're at, it's been hot this summer. And that used to bother me more than it does now. I used to be working in the field, in the construction field, and then I'd be outside all the time. And if I wasn't outside in the sun, it would be, we're building these big commercial buildings or whatever. There's no AC running. So even if sometimes it's better to be outside because then at least you get a breeze. And, but I don't do that anymore as much. I'm driving around a lot. And so I used to be, when I got home, I wanted to stay inside and not do anything because I'd been outside and hot all day. Now it's just the opposite, which used to be my wife and she'd want to get out and do something, and I wouldn't feel like doing anything because I'd been outside all day. So now that's a good thing that happened with that. But it is hard to be out in this temperature, but there's still things to do. We went camping last week. That was great. We had the typical at least one day of some good rain, but all in all, there's nothing to complain about. It was a lot of fun. Very nice campground. Had some good food. I don't know. It shouldn't be something like it snuck up on me, but this year I did not do a good job of planning for food. We had way more food than we needed. My wife did the bulk of that work. This trip, just kind of getting things together. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I got plenty of time to figure out what I'm going to make and and go buy the groceries. And then all of a sudden it was the afternoon, we were heading up, and I was hooking up the camper and we were going, and I hadn't really planned for anything. So we had some pretty simple stuff while we were there, but it's still good. There's something about relaxing time, and you just eat when you're ready to make it, and so that's good. But I think that hopefully next time we go, I'm going to plan ahead a little bit more, because there's a lot of fun things you can do. It's things the kids like to do over the fire and that kind of thing that I just wasn't prepared for because I wasn't thinking. And so it was, thankfully my wife did plan, so we had more than enough food. It just wasn't it wasn't whatever. Not that it wasn't what it could have been. We had great food, but it just wasn't I guess I wasn't involved in it, and maybe I didn't need to be. So I shouldn't complain about that. But I think that the only other thing that I'm not sure. I don't know. I do not know. One thing I do know, after camping, we got back this past Sunday. Sorry for the awkward gap there. But I think I'm going to go on a no alcohol diet for at least a month. And I want to try to keep it running for a little bit. And this is something that, I quit smoking. Oh boy, it's been at least 12 years ago now that I quit smoking. I'll still have a cigar. I don't have a cigar as much as I would like to, but I quit smoking cigarettes. That was good. I'm trying to think, I really only smoked cigarettes for about 12 years. So actually, I think I've quit about the amount of time that I smoked. And it's not, cigarettes aren't something that I'm looking, or that, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think today. They're not something that I think about, I guess. I don't crave them. That's the word. It's not even a big word. Can't even think of words. I don't crave them anymore, and I haven't for years. I will have one. I can have one like every now and again if I'm golfing. Somebody has maybe I'll bum one from somebody, but it's just not something that even really sounds good anymore. I do like the smell of it still. Not the smell that's on your clothes after you have one, but while it's burning, I still do like the smell of that, but it's not something that I'm drawn towards anymore. But I quit doing that because I finally just got to the point, and maybe I know people that have smoked for 40 years and never have gotten to this point yet. But for me, I was just sick of it. I was done, didn't want to do it anymore, was sick of spending the money on it. And it just wasn't enjoyable. And for somebody who's never smoked, that maybe isn't a surprise to you that a cigarette wouldn't be enjoyable. But as somebody who has, you kind of know what I'm talking about, especially if you've quit before. You just finally, I got to the point where I said, I'm done. Now, I have had nicotine since then, so it's not like I completely kicked the nicotine 100%, anything like that, so I can't brag on that, but I just did quit the habit of smoking cigarettes, and it just was enough. And I think I'm the same. I'm getting to that point with alcohol, or with beer at least. I need to take a break. I'm just going to say that we're going to go a month, no alcohol of any kind, and then go from there. Because there's no need for it. I mean, it's not, it doesn't, there's nothing that I can argue of good it does. I'm sure, there's whatever, there's good things in wine, or maybe if you have one or two, it's not a big deal. And it's not that I don't just drink and get drunk like every night or anything like that. But I just think it's time. I'm like, you know what? I want to try to lose some weight. And hopefully this will help keep me accountable. You will see how I do with that. And I like butter in my food. And I like cooking rich, good food. So I need to cut out some of these unnecessary carbs and unnecessary calories just because, it's for that exact reason. It's unnecessary. What's the point? And it's hard to do in the hot summer because a cold beer always tastes good when it's in the hot summer. Or maybe it's just something where I'm just going to I'm not going to have it at the house. You know what I mean? And I don't go out to eat all that often. We don't go to sit-down restaurants all that often. And so maybe just if I go somewhere out to eat, maybe I'll have a beer with dinner or something like that. But I did this last spring actually. I just kind of no alcohol for a month. And I think it's good to do a break like that. If you're somebody who only has a drink once a month or something, then this does not seem like a hard thing. But we all develop habits, whether it's in our eating habits, drinking any kind of thing, soda, or whatever it might be. the habit part is the hardest thing to break. I'm not going to have any issue with withdrawals or anything like that. I'm not a hardcore drinker. But the habit of coming home, and it's hot and you're in summer, coming home and having a beer is the hard thing to break, or will be for me. So the last time I did it, I found out I drank a lot of water. I just had to have a water with me at all times. And yeah, I'm actually looking forward to doing it. So it'll be good. It's good for your body to just not have that. And so just trying to break bad habits. That's what that's what I'm trying to do with food too. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's get into some of the stuff from the last week, and I'm going to breeze through pretty quick, but I think we're ready to go here.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if I can direct your attention to the meals from last week. All right, let's get into the meals from the last few weeks here. I don't even remember where I left off. Big surprise. I say that every time. My ability to draw a line under my list is not there. I just apparently don't have that ability. And I did keep track over the last few weeks here. I'm still going with this. Do it. Try it. It's great. And I will say, I was thinking about this as I'm looking through some of these things. This is like dinner time meal situations here. So not that I eat perfect all throughout the day, but some of the things where I've got pizza at night doesn't mean that I had like McDonald's for lunch or anything like that. It hopefully means that I had a lot of times I'll have some leftovers if I made something the night before. Not as much as I should though, if I'm being perfectly honest. But or I'll have some kind of sandwich or something, or with granola bar, or have some yogurt or different things. Not perfect in the middle of the day either, but just saying. Keep that in mind when this is just dinner time meals here. And I don't even know where I left off. The place that I can think of here, I did get to go out where I believe I left off. I went out to Taco Bell with my daughter. That was great. And then I did make that stuffed chicken. I had talked about doing some sort of Italian type themed stuffed chicken and rolling it and doing some panko on the outside. I did something similar to that, but it was more just the stuffed chicken breast with those flavors. I didn't do the tight roll and do it in panko and fry it. I just did a chicken breast, butterfly it, and I put some tomato, basil, Parmesan, a good mozzarella in the cavity. Sounds kind of gross, but that's just inside the butterfly breast. Fold it over, and then I put that I had seasoned it all. Put that roast it in the oven in a cast iron pan, 425. Takes about 20-25 minutes, and then I put some Parmesan. After I pulled it out, I put some fresh grated Parmesan and put some pesto on top too. That tasted really good. It was a great meal. I didn't even write down what we had with it. I believe we had some rice with it, and maybe some Brussels sprouts or something. But I just have the chicken breast down. Next day, I had a quesadilla, all the fixings with it: cheese, onion, cilantro, sour cream, hot sauce, salsa, a little Creole seasoning. I like the flavor of a Creole seasoning. That Tony Chachere's is my favorite. A lot of salt in there, but it's not necessarily I'm not making authentic Mexican quesadillas here. Frozen pizza. The next night, I've got a date or two missing. Made some. Then we get to the 4th of July. I smoked some pork butt, and just basically all that translates to is pulled pork. I will do an episode at some point on a smoker, on smoking meat,
This is not going to be that episode, but I'm learning, and every time I do it, I'm figuring things out. But I made a buffalo chicken dip on the 4th, so I had the pulled pork. I made a really good buffalo chicken dip, and then I made some jalapeno poppers. The only thing I really want to go into with this day in particular with what I made was the buffalo chicken dip. Now, I will eat a buffalo chicken dip, any buffalo chicken dip that you make. And I know people that listen to this that have made a buffalo chicken dip that I've eaten. Thank you for making the dip. It was good. And I'm not in any way complaining about anything. So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings here. For me personally, I like a lot of chicken in a buffalo chicken dip. I want to be able to taste the chicken, and I want to be able to feel the texture of the chicken in the dip. That also needs to be buffalo heavy, in my opinion, because it is, after all, called buffalo chicken dip, not cream cheese with chunks dip, right? If that makes any sense. So I like to do what I did that day. I put chicken breast. Chicken thighs aren't really good in this application. Definitely chicken breast is the thing to use. And season them very heavily. And I use salt, pepper, garlic, paprika. And I even used a little bit of I think I had a pretty smoky chipotle. That's what it was. I had a chipotle, some Dano's chipotle seasoning. That's something you could leave out if, honestly, you can do the salt, pepper, garlic, paprika, and maybe a little cayenne pepper or chili powder. I want some heat on the chicken breast. This is getting roasted and it's going to get shredded up. So it's not that big of a deal. If you have an extra amount of heat, that the cream cheese and stuff in the mixture is going to is mellow that out a little bit. But I do like a little bit of heat. So I had 4 chicken breasts, I think, and seasoned those up heavily. And I also want to say, no, I didn't. Never mind. I'm going to continue talking. Roast it off, basically. I put it at 25 minutes or so at 425, whatever it takes to get that internal temp up to 160. Pull it out. In this case, I did not want any browning on the chicken. Now, I did put it in a cast iron pan with a little bit of butter. In there maybe was a little bit of browning on the bottom, but having that butter in there just kind of protects it in a way. And I tented it tightly with tin foil. I didn't want that top getting any type of crust on the chicken. Because in a buffalo dip, you don't want hard chunks. It's a little different than when you're cutting it up and eating it on its own. And that did work. It kept it from browning on the top, but the flavors are all still mixed in. Get that out, let it cool for about 15, 20 minutes, and then shredded all that up. That's done. I did make this in a crock pot. Dips are like the only thing I ever cook in a crock pot, if I'm being honest. Not because they're not good for anything else, but it's just, at least at this part in my life, I'd rather cook it in a pan or on the stove or whatever. Crock pots are great, but dips are, in my opinion, the best use of a crock pot. You can set it and forget it, and that's why people like them. Anyway, I'm not going to go off on crock pots here, but mix-ins with it was some buffalo wing sauce, some Frank's Red Hot buffalo wing sauce, a whole thing of that. I think I had a whole thing of cream cheese, a whole 8-ounce block of cream cheese, a little bit of ranch dressing in there, and some mozzarella cheese, some good mozzarella, and some scallions. Cut up some scallions, some green onions, and put those in there. Now, that's going to kind of cook down and wilt a little bit, so I'd like to wait towards the end, but putting that onion flavor in there, I like. It just works well. And mix that in. I cut up a bunch of extra to top later. And then I think I had like half a packet of ranch powder. So I did that too. I like the ranch flavor, but I don't want a whole bottle of ranch dressing personally in there. It makes a buffalo dip too soupy, in my opinion, if you use a whole bottle of ranch seasoning. I'd rather use a whole bottle of the buffalo sauce and then a little bit of ranch dressing and use the ranch seasoning packet, which is whatever's in there. That way you still get that flavor, but it's not as runny or, and that's it. Put it on low, let it heat up. Once it's hot, if it was in a pan or I did it in the oven, you could do this in the oven easily too. Then I'd sprinkle some mozzarella cheese over the top and get a good, bubbly crust of cheese on top and dip into it. We had a lot of people, so I didn't want to, I couldn't do that. And this was in a crock pot as well. So I did have some blue cheese, comes in a brick. Again, I've talked about it before, same with the shredding your cheese on your own. Blue cheese and feta cheese is the same thing. I don't know why it never crossed my mind. I've been through this before, but I bought a block of blue cheese and broke it off and crumbled it up and just had that in a bowl on the side along with some scallions so that people could add as they wanted. I like a lot of blue cheese flavor. I know that's something that some people don't like at all, so I'm not going to mix it in with the thing. But it was great. It was just a very chicken-heavy dip. You could still pick it up with a tortilla chip, but it was like a real chicken flavor in there. The buffalo sauce was coming through, the ranch flavor. You got the creaminess of the cream cheese and the ranch dressing. The ranch flavor with the packet made it so that this wasn't just a huge soupy pile, but it was really good. So we had so much other stuff too. Friends of we had people that had made a fruit pizza. And if you've ever had it, you know exactly what it's so good. That was really good. People brought like vegetables over. I did have celery to go with the buffalo chicken dip too. I feel bad that I can't remember what everybody brought, to be honest. But it was a ton of food. Macaroni and cheese somebody brought. Just a ton of food. Really good. Moving on. I'm going to skip a few here. Nothing crazy. Went out to Uccello's one day. Made some meatball subs on hamburger buns. So it wasn't really a subs in quotation marks. But this is using up stuff you got, right? We had hamburger buns left over from who knows what. I like making a ham sandwich with a spread that it's just ham, cheese, and the spread. I'll put that on hamburger buns. Whatever reason, we had hamburger buns. So, from the pulled pork, we had a bunch of 2 bags of buns left over from when I made the pulled pork. Because I'm not good at math and how much people are going to eat, and depends on what everybody brings, how much of that's going to get eaten, all the stuff. So, made some. Now these were frozen meatballs. I'm going to be honest with you; they were not handmade meatballs, and it was a jarred pasta sauce. But just take your hamburger buns. I like to give them. I like to toast them a little bit. I do like the argument of a soft bun with like a meatball sub. Totally respect that opinion. This was not a sub bun, and with a hamburger bun and a pasta sauce, it can get soggy quick. So I toasted the buns and seasoned them with a little garlic powder, garlic salt, and had butter, and basically made a little garlic bread type thing, and then put the meatballs on there. After that, then some Parmesan cheese and some mozzarella cheese, and they were great. A great, easy meal to make. You're basically just heating stuff up, and just a little filling. It's hard in the summertime because hot meals don't sound that great on a hot day. So we have air conditioning, so that helps, but but it's just hard to do sometimes. After that, we went up to our cabin, and we had frozen some of the pulled pork. I took that. I'm not great at eating the same. Like, we have a lot of pulled pork left over, but I don't want just pulled pork sandwiches with barbecue sauce on a bun for 5 days straight. So I try to think of ways to make it in a different way. So I actually made some pulled pork tacos. Now, when I make pulled pork and smoke it, and I think a lot of people are this way, so I'm not unique in any sense, but I don't mix the sauce in with the meat. I'll shred the meat. The meat has that smoky flavor. It's good, but I leave it up to the person. One, because I don't know what kind of sauce they want or amount ratio of sauce to meat. And I like a spicier hot barbecue sauce, big surprise. Or like I really do enjoy a bourbon barbecue sauce. I like the flavor that has. I'm not a huge honey barbecue fan. I know a lot of people that is their absolute favorite. So I say that to say that it's just shredded pork, really, smoked pork. And I made carnitas pretty much with that. And that we had brought that with us up to the cabin. That was the dinner for the night. It was really good. The next night, I did a chicken breast that I had brined in apple juice. This is a great way to just flavor a chicken breast without a bunch of seasoning added. If I said that right, or if that doesn't sound right, maybe it's not. But just to add flavor to a chicken breast. The chicken breast doesn't have a ton of flavor, and it requires a lot of seasoning, a lot of everything. Brining it overnight, if you're planning ahead, is a great way to do this. And I've learned more about it as I started smoking. I didn't smoke this chicken, but I put a bunch of chicken breasts in apple juice, and I had cut up a whole onion, cut it to quarters, put that in there, some salt, a bunch of salt, and then I had a bay leaf, some peppercorns. This time I did not have it. Last time I did it, I used just one orange, cut it in half, squeeze it to get some of the juice out, but then just throw the whole orange rind and all in there. I mean, we're not making a soup here. I'm having trouble talking here. It's just a liquid that the chicken is going to soak in, and you set it in the refrigerator overnight, and it will absorb some of those flavors. I don't know if I'm missing any of the other stuff I put in, but anyway, it's not a real complicated brine, but it's more than water, salt, and sugar that some people do. Then you take it out the next day, and that chicken has now absorbed some of that apple juice flavor, the onion and the orange and things like that. So it just gives an underlying flavor, not a ton of flavor. It's not like biting into an apple, but it's just enough to give it something. It's just a hint of something there that you can't pinpoint into. It's in apple juice. Oh, okay. That makes sense. There is a little sweetness there. It's just a great way to do it. The apple chicken combination is fantastic. So it did that and made some Brussels sprouts. I roasted the Brussels sprouts. So good doing it that way. You get crispy edges and stuff. Now, they were crispy, and they stayed pretty crispy and crunchy, but I did do didn't have honey. That's my go-to glaze. Jess had recommended, she had sent in an email or a comment and said that she likes to do maple syrup. We were up at the cabin. I forgot to bring honey, opened the pantry. There's some maple syrup in there. So I used just a very little bit of maple syrup, but just that little sweetness. It was enough where my kids know I use honey a lot, just a little bit of honey on the Brussels sprouts. And they had some, and they said, what's on this? And I said, do you have any idea? And they honey? And I said, nope, not honey. Something else sweet. And they had to think about it for a while. And then finally they guessed maple syrup. And I said, yep. And they really liked it. But I say that because it wasn't just to prove in a way that it wasn't so much that, holy cow, what'd you do? Dip the whole Brussels sprout in a pile of maple syrup? No, that's not. We just want a slight hint of that flavor. So had that with some rice, and then did some mushroom and onion, sauteed some mushroom and onion to go with the chicken. This chicken was done on a charcoal grill. Opinions are interesting because you can be swayed one way or another. I used to be of the opinion that a Blackstone or whatever you had, if you had a propane grill, you can cook whatever you cook on there. It's going to taste the same as if you cooked on a Blackstone or on a charcoal grill or in the oven or on a pan on the oven, whatever. And I guess I haven't had that opinion for quite a while, but I now know that that each of those things has their place, for sure. I think a griddle is a great tool, and it has a great place in the arsenal of cooking. But I do not have a charcoal grill, and I do not have a gas grill anymore. I have a smoker, I have a oven inside the house, and a griddle. And I really want to get a charcoal grill. This chicken breast I cooked on a gas grill, and it was so good to have that charred chicken, crispy charred flavor. It would have been even better on a charcoal grill, but I didn't have that. But it was so good to have something on a gas grill or on a grill again, not on a griddle. It just is a added element or a different way of cooking, in that charred flavor that you get from a flame of any kind, apparently, is just so much different. And cooking over an open fire is a whole different thing. So that was really nice. I got to get moving here if I'm ever going to get to the topic. I have a couple days where I forgot, tried to think of what I did, whatever. And then we got to camping. I made a grilled cheese pizza on the Blackstone at the campground. This was so good. And I'll get into it because I actually had that 2 nights ago again as well. Then the following night, we had ordered pizza from the campground. They had that as an option, so we got that. It was pizza. It's nothing wrong with it. It's always good to have pizza. Made some burgers on the Blackstone while we were camping. And then I made some tacos the next night. I have made some breakfast tacos in the morning. I love tacos or a burrito. It's just hard to beat. And but we had made tacos for dinner. Along with it, I made this ramen salad that's like a coleslaw. You use cabbage, shredded cabbage and carrots. Take some of those instant ramen noodles, break them up and crunch them up, and put them in a bowl. Put a bunch of, basically a coleslaw mix in with that, some sliced almonds, and then you've got some sugar, a little bit of sesame oil, some olive oil, some vinegar, I think, a little apple cider, or you could use either apple cider or just regular white distilled vinegar. Really good. Kind of a fresher taste with the vinegar in there, and then the cabbage mix. And there's no mayonnaise in it, so it's not like a mayonnaise-based salad. It's just a good summery type thing. And then we also that night, this wasn't for dinner, but we made pizza rolls over the fire. This has become a tradition of sorts. Put them over the grate, just take pizza rolls and put them over the fire. Really good. After that, got home and I had some chicken salad with pita crackers. I like that a lot. And then following night, I made some roast chicken breast. Again, different way this time, different seasonings on it, and took some ditalini pasta and just made like a butter cream sauce with some Parmesan and garlic, and just mixed that in with the a little pasta water. I wanted it pretty thin. I didn't want a macaroni and cheese. I just wanted, it was almost, you think about it as almost an Alfredo sauce. I don't think there's cream in Alfredo sauce. Technically, that should be just butter and Parmesan. But I did have just a splash of cream in there, and I wanted a pretty loose sauce, just something to basically flavor the noodles, not to just be a binder. And that turned out really well. And then we had, to finish it off, my daughter's birthday. She, on the birthday, I said, "You want to go out for dinner? Is there something you want me to make for dinner special? Anything you can think of. Sky's the limit. What do you want?" And she said she wanted the grilled cheese pizzas. Okay. Simple meal. Great. In-laws came over, and a great meal, easy meal to make for a bunch of people. Just basically you're making a grill. I did white bread, butter it, garlic powder, garlic salt, and then put your marinara sauce, flip it, put that down, marinara sauce, all your pizza toppings, top it fill it full, onions, green pepper, whatever you want on a pizza, ham, pepperoni, cheese, and then you cook it just like a grilled cheese. They really do taste good too. So that's it. That was long-winded, I know. I hope it's interesting to you. Nobody's commented saying knock it off, so I'm going to continue to just tell you about it. And even if somebody does comment, I might just continue to do what I want, but we'll see. So today's topic, I had a hard time thinking about this, but really last night, this came to my mind because I think it's very interesting. And that's why I do this last week's meals thing, because I've said it before, and I'll probably continue to say it because I've got a microphone. I find it interesting what people make for dinner. And I would love to know more. I don't know, you all know, if you listen to this, what I make every night. At least when I make an episode, you hear what I've been making, what I've been eating, that kind of thing. But for me, I don't know what anybody makes unless they tell me. My brothers, my mom, my sister will once in a while shoot over a meal that they're working on. And of course, we all send good meals when we do that. I don't send them a picture of the frozen pizza I made. You know what I mean? So we get to, just like any, typically any social media or things like that, when you hear of what somebody has made for dinner, it's usually a great thing or a good thing or whatever, maybe a healthy thing. You don't see the bad. And that's why I'm trying to be honest to tell you, you're not alone in making frozen pizzas and going out to Taco Bell and everything. But I hope that you can see that I'm also trying to do things, make good food as well, kind of intermixed in there. I think I'm still at about a 50-50 spot. I've plateaued at a 50-50 good food, junk food situation. And I've kind of plateaued, and I got to climb that next hill and get to that next point. But so that's when I find it weird, some of these videos that I've been seeing lately on Facebook Reels or on YouTube or wherever. And that's these people that are cooking, and they have these channels, and I think it's got to be some form of like rage baiting. If you've never heard that term, it's like it's used for like political things and anything, any headline that's automatically when you see it, you're like, you just get mad, and that makes you want to watch it and go like, or click on it or read it or whatever. And you're looking at it and you're thinking, this is so wrong that I can't, it's just making me mad. And so I can't believe somebody would do something like this or be like this or say that. And so then you're just watching, and then you like, this person can't be this way. Let me look at the next thing. And they look at their next one and they're like, it's the same garbage as the first one. That's my understanding of rage baiting anyway. It's just egging someone into just making them mad right off the bat, and then it just drives content. And we like that. People like that. That's why I don't watch the news anymore. Because for some reason it drives making people upset or worried or fearful or angry drives ratings, makes people watch. Because for some reason in our brain, we like to be, in a way, we like to be mad about something, worked up, excited. I don't know if there's a dopamine thing when we get mad or frustrated or something, but it works. Even the local news. I mean, I don't want bad news gets ratings. Headline good news is feel-good stories. Don't for whatever reason, it just doesn't work. That's why I can't watch the news. I can't watch the news. I like to know what's going on in my specific area a little bit, but I can't. It's just not. I can't do it. I just don't. It's not good for me. So I don't do it. But this cooking thing is like, man, all these videos I've been seeing lately and they're people with hundreds of thousands of views. And part of me thinks that if these people can get this many views on something that's so bad, then how hard would it be to get a ton of views on good things? And there are a lot of really good cooks and stuff out there that you can watch, and that I do watch. But it's just I've seen so many things of people just taking these terrible, and it's not like, I'm trying to think of an example, like a mayonnaise-based pasta salad. That's got, like, you don't use the entire tub of so it's like a goopy, it's just that the flavor is good, and maybe somebody would debate me on that, but the flavor is really good on a pasta salad or even a tuna noodle casserole done right or whatever. And it's the ingredient isn't the greatest, but at least it does have a very good flavor in the end, everything combined. I've been just seeing, there's a guy, his channel's like Chef Reacts, and the language might be a problem for some people, so just be careful who you're watching it with, or if you he has a few choice words in some of the videos, but he just watches people making these things, and that's my algorithm that it knows it kind of whatever. I've watched the video for too long, and so it knows that I want to see more, apparently. So that's what I keep getting fed, but I like his channel because he's apparently a chef, and he's watching kind of like Gordon Ramsay does, only he's not as obnoxious as Gordon Ramsay, but people just making this stuff, and there's a few, and I have a hard time because these people are out there doing something, and whether or not it's good or bad is to be determined, I guess, but you can make a living just on making content. I can't, apparently, but people do, and so I don't blame them for doing things, and there are a lot worse types of content to make to get yourself money. So cooking videos, hey, if it works, I don't blame them one bit. I really don't have any ill will or hard feelings towards these people, but some of them seem like really great people. And I know a couple of the people I found from Michigan that are making these videos, and just out there, we all have the excuse of I'm busy, I've got kids, even if you don't have kids, that's whatever. And I hate to use that excuse, and I've done it myself, of I'm not cooking good food, I'm too busy, I have to feed my kids, and then it's just I see the things that I get my kids used to eating is going to become habitual for them. Just like whatever else. If I keep giving my kids soda every day, and if I give them 2 cans of pop every single day for the next however long they're in my house, do you think that's going to stop and they're going to start making healthy choices once they leave my house and are out on their own? Probably not, right? So I try to think of it in that way. I want to set an example, and I'm not saying I'm good at this, but this is something I think about. But when I'm making food and everything, and I know a kid's palate isn't going to be, they're not going to desire whatever, vegetable, whatever at 9 years old. You're going to have to say, you just got to eat a few pieces, and I can cater to that a little bit. I'm going to make it for myself. I want you to eat it, and I'm going to continue to encourage you to eat it, but I understand that you don't want to eat onions, okay? That's just, the palate isn't there yet, and they haven't developed the desire for that flavor. But in anything we do, what kind of example are so when we say that we're too busy, we just got to get food on the table. So, all right, good. I agree. We are all busy. Everybody can agree on that. And we all need to eat. That's something we all do. But to do, complete just trash all the time and use that as an excuse where I'm a mom, and I'm not picking on moms, or I'm a dad, because I am a dad. So I'll use that. And to just say that I'm too busy, I've got to watch my kids. I think we use that as an excuse way too often, especially as your kids start. Now when you've got an infant, that's hard. It's all hard. Life is hard. And I'm preaching to myself. I'm going to continue to say I'm preaching to myself just in case you forgot that I'm not trying to, yell at anybody. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. But that is a terrible excuse that I'm going to give my kids garbage because they need to eat. Just not a good Not a good reason. I have a hard time even. I wish I could encourage. Sugar tastes so good for so many people, for all of us. And like boxed cereal is there's so much. They're terrible. And just more sugar. You have a bowl of cereal that's so much sugar and other garbage in it, and then at lunchtime we have a soda of some kind, or even for me, I'll pick on myself, a Monster Energy drink. I switched from the a long time ago, but switched from the green can to the white can. But whoop-de-doo, it's got a little bit less sugar or whatever, but it's still absolute garbage. And then you have a bowl of cereal, then you have that. Then at lunch, whatever you're going to eat, it's just all it's just all junk unless we are paying attention, unless we are actually trying hard. So there's just so many, and I like the personalities of some of the people, but just the stuff I've been seeing, it's like, man, don't encourage people to cook like that. We need, and again, it's probably stuff I'm getting fed, in my feed, in my algorithm, but it's like, man, you got to get some, let's show people how to make real good, clean food, or even, it's not even healthy food. It's just cooking using whole products. When you're making, I'm not going to say it because I've said it like 5 times, but yes, I had meatballs that were frozen with a jarred pasta sauce and a store-bought meatball sub. Okay, that was one meal. But like with the chicken and the vegetables meals, I think, all that with the chicken breast, it's a piece of chicken, a whole piece of chicken, and it's a whole vegetable, and it's and rice or potatoes and tomato, not all the things with additives. And so again, I'm maybe 50-50 at best, probably. But I'm working towards it. I'm talking through it with you. That's what this is for. And I have a hard time. I want to judge. We all like to judge others. And so I find myself doing that and looking at the people and just thinking, what in the world are you doing? But there are people that are way better than me that look at me and think the exact same thing. And I don't have any... you almost want to talk to, like, why are you doing this? Or why would you cook that for your friend? Or just cooking it so wrong. You have the right product. If you just did it slightly different in your preparation, it would be a fantastic dish. But instead, you took all those things, and instead of cooking your chicken separate from your whatever. I should have real examples here. I shouldn't just be vaguely referencing things. But all your meals cannot be like dried cake mix mixed with cookie dough and chocolate syrup and peanut butter topped with frosting and whatever. You know what I mean? It's just, and that's what all the videos are. And it's just take this box and this box and this jar and this jar and I'd love to see you cut up an actual whole ingredient. Would be fantastic. I think it'd be great. But and I watch it, right? Because we like to get mad. I guess I don't watch political things that make me mad. I watch cooking videos that make me mad. And I'm guilty of some. And some of them you watch and you go, actually, that doesn't look too bad. But it's just like, you burned your butter. It's almost black. Why are you then putting your sausage, that butter is totally burned in the pan. Now you're putting cold sausage into your burned butter and everything's turning black. It's going to taste, you can just look at it and it's not actually going to taste good just by visuals. I love creative things where people will take kind of do a fusion type thing, or even doing that with some, I don't know. I enjoy that, but I don't know. This episode really isn't about, I'm just talking through this stuff. It's things I see that I just want to encourage and people, like, if you're please be very careful about what you're watching for suggestions and recipes and ways to do it. I just don't like the idea of using the busyness of life as an excuse to just make terrible choices. And it starts out, like I said, and that's why I'm taking a month away from alcohol at minimum. I'm going to take a month, not drink, because those little decisions that we do, and we're like, well, it's busy. I'm just going to do this one time. And then that was kind of good. And tomorrow I'm going to do it again. And then the next day, and then all of a sudden we've got a habit. And I hate to, I don't want my kids to, I can't justify when they're older the bad habits that I might pass on to them and then say, well, I couldn't be bothered to try to feed you decent food or healthy or keep you healthy. I just had to keep you alive. And how long can we use that excuse? When you've got a toddler, okay, that's about as far as that goes. After that, your kid doesn't require your constant visual whatever. When your kid's playing a game or building something or doing whatever, you've got time. We've all got time. And if you don't have a kid, then there really is, then I don't know what excuse you use. It's hard to cook for one person. I get that. That's an excuse I've used in the past, or two people. It's hard to cook. All these recipes are set up for or for a family. They're not, I can't follow a recipe, so I'm just going to order takeout all the time. No, learn what flavors go with what and different techniques. There are so many good videos to watch and stuff to learn how to do it. Chicken breasts come in packages of 2. And then if you don't eat it all, you've got leftovers for lunch tomorrow or dinner tomorrow. So anything like that. We've all got excuses. I've got excuses. But yeah, I just have been watching way too much this past long time, is I love cooking stuff. And I enjoy like PBS, America's Test Kitchen, and different things like that. And there are a lot of cooking channels on YouTube that I enjoy watching where they dig into the science of it and just a lot of information along with seeing some technique and everything. Now, I'm not, like I said, the America's Test Kitchen will do heavy on the recipe, so to speak, as far as quantities and everything, and not so much on just the feel of it. I think that's the beauty of cooking is there's just a feel and like I said before, you start to smell the smell. You get all your senses involved after a while. You start to recognize when something's at the point where it's time to move on to the next step or it's done just by the smell or the sound, the sizzle, the, whatever it might be. And so by practicing things, we learn them. And this is just a call out to myself episode. I'm just trying to, maybe this is the bad habits episode. I'm trying to break some bad habits. So I just encourage you, if you're, I'm going to be trying to do that. That's what I'm going to be working on. That's what I think that's what I'm always working on. It's a constant battle we're all doing. I don't think we're all perfect in any of our habits of anything, but I just think that, that food is a thing that, especially with our kids, that we use our kids as an excuse to make bad food choices. And I can't think of any other part in our lives or in their lives where we can make poor choices, poor health choices, and use them as the excuse to give them bad things. I don't know if that, you know what I mean? I can't even think of an example of where that would be okay. I mean, it's, I'm too busy making sure you're alive. So all you need to do so you're around and don't get hurt is sit on the couch every day, all day long. I can't, I'm too busy to let you go do things outside. You need to sit still and be careful so that you're okay. That's not even a good example, but I think you know what I mean. I want to use my kids. Don't use your kids as an excuse. Don't use your significant other or I just got to get him food or her food on the table or him food. I just got to make dinner tonight and whatever. Again, preaching to myself. This is a challenge to myself. It's out there. It's in recorded audio format for all to hear. And so it's a way to keep myself accountable as well. I want to do, what I can to give my kids a good example. And I think of even friends of mine. Johnny, good buddy of mine, has got a beautiful garden, and he's working on, I keep saying I'm going to have people. This is episode 27. I've only ever had my brother in here, but I am going to talk with Johnny. And I would love for him to share his story, the thing that him and his wife and family are doing right now. And he's got a YouTube channel and stuff too. But he's got this huge garden and he's growing this stuff and he's trying to get to the point where at least I think they were working on a month of only eating what they have grown and harvested themselves. He got a deer last year, I believe. So he had some venison, and they'll make bread too. I think that was like the only exception is they have flour and stuff. They're not growing wheat and milling the wheat and making bread the flour themselves. They make bread, really good bread, and sell it at the market. And I'm not talking about like you think of that and you think of somebody who might be like a hippie or something living out on a homestead and then off the grid, and this is not the case, but it's just a cool idea and so many, but it's a lot of work to be able to do that. I can't, there's no way I can do that just because I don't have a vegetable. I just don't have stuff to be able to do that. But I love the idea of just the example that they're setting for their kids of, hey, grow your food, eat your food. And my mom still this day has a beautiful garden and always did when I was growing up. We had tomatoes, green beans, all that. It was always so good. And I know that I don't do that. So it's not that I wasn't set a good example of of how to grow and how to eat or produce like good quality vegetables or anything. It just was I'm just lazy, I use the excuse of my soil, which is a partial reason, half excuse that's tough to grow in, but it just comes down to I have not put in the effort that it requires to do that. So I like I just want to set good example, and in everything we do, we want our kids to be better than we were in a lot of things in life in general. So, but I think that these are habits that we're displaying to our children. And so that's what I need to change my habits for them to see and then to enjoy a better way of doing things and a healthier way of living and I don't know. I don't know if this episode makes any sense to anybody in any way. It really doesn't to me, so it might be kind of difficult for you. But it's just something food related that I wanted to talk about and that I'm thinking about as I'm trying to break the bad habits that I have. And so I just encourage you, and I would love to hear of any way that you have found to slightly curb. The hard thing to do that I found and that does not work is to make extreme changes immediately over multiple areas. And even in one area, like and for a long period of time. I can go 2 days and say I'm not eating meat for 2 days or whatever, or I'm only eating whole foods for 2 days. Yeah, that's easy. But it's not something where you get excited about something and you say, all right, we're changing things around here. We are no longer going to buy any processed food at all. And then it's just not realistic so small changes, but frequent enough small changes that they start to make a big change over a relatively short period of time, maybe a year from now. And that's why I'm writing down everything I make, so I can evaluate what I've been doing, and really look back and see the changes and see what things are, anyway. I'm rambling now. I think you get my point, right? And if you don't, that's okay too. Maybe next time it'll be more understandable. Thank you for listening so much. Please leave a comment, a rating. I appreciate it. I would love to have suggestions. Give me suggestions on what you'd like me to talk about. Throw it out. I don't care if you think it's might be dumb or whatever. That's what this whole podcast is about, is real food and real ideas. And so I am open to any suggestion. And I will talk to you